order. This is the meeting of the Carson City Library Board of Trustees. And could we please have the roll call?
Chairperson Knight,
Present.
Vice Chair Olivas, Trustee Lucas,
Present.
Trustee Markle,
Present.
Trustee Nichols.
Present.
A quorum is present.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to public comment. Any member of the public who would like to address the library board may do so right now. Talk about anything that's within our purview. Do we have a call-in line set up? Okay. Or any kind of video conference I need to solicit?
We don't have a call-in line, but we do have a live stream. So
Okay. We're not seeing or hearing anybody pipe up.
that's my phone number that they can call if they want to submit public comment, or if they want a copy of the, like if they want to call and they want to submit public comment, they can call me beforehand, or if they want to call me afterward, they can, for an agenda or whatever, they can call me at that number. I assume you're talking about the 887-2244. Yeah, that phone number is that extension is my number. So that's the library number with my extension.
Well, seeing no public comment, let's move on down the agenda to item 3. That's our approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to take a look at these. Do you have any edits we'd like to suggest, or if someone would like to motion to approve as submitted?
I'll make a motion to approve the draft minutes of the October 12th, 2023 Carson City Library Board of Trustees meeting as written.
I'll second.
All right, so a motion from trustee Lucas, second from trustee Markle, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you very much. We'll move on down to item 4, Library Director, Representative, Administrative Reports. I will turn it over to you, Director Holt.
Well, hello, good evening. This is Joy Holt for the record. So, does anyone have any questions about the financials? Well, first, let me back up. You're going to see that our agenda does look a little bit different, and it's going to look this way going forward because of some changes that happened in Granicus. And so it was changes in Granicus, but also my getting help from the city manager, the city manager's assistant, who gave me some pointers to make my life a little bit easier. And consequently, we've got these staff reports, and we're not obligated to put anything in here. Brianna does that. So Brianna, our recording extraordinaire back there, right, Brianna? So there's that. And then, does anyone have any questions about the financial reports? Bless you.
This is Trustee Markle. What's the question? There's a question on the gift fund, books, periodicals, budget, revised budget, expenses, encumbrances, and then it says 3%. What is that? The $68 is only 3%? Is that?
Yes, that's
Yes.
correct.
Okay. But that's percentage used. All right. I'm good.
And if there's any questions about that huge percentage in the collection, that line item is collection dash for FOL, that's Friends of the Library. And that's because the Friends of the Library money has not been pulled forward. And that augmentation, we won't see the actual money pulling forward and seeing that remedied for the next few months, but the augmentation process is beginning. So then I'll be able to, we had 20,500 that was donated by the Friends for the lease. And this year they covered both the adult lease books and the youth lease books. So that'll all get straightened out during the augmentation process.
Trustee Nichols, I do have a question about the Capital City reads,
Okay.
because it looks like remaining balance and then you've got a negative there.
For Capital City Reads.
It's way down at the bottom under gift fund.
That's the same, that we'll be pulling money forward.
okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
This is Julie. this is Julie. On the on the augmentation, can you give us just a kind of bit of a timeline or process overview, how that works, how long we should?
Well, they send those out in November of every year, and then we have to have those in by, like, I just got that yesterday, I think, yesterday or day before, and then it's due in 2 weeks. And then the finance department will go through and sort of make sure everyone's are right. And that usually doesn't, we usually don't see those for at least 2 months. So we won't see them until at least after the start of the calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
Usually what happens is they come in and you see everything, some folks from the state will use the term true up, where you bring you bring all the allocations forward. So sometime around, usually it's maybe a month or less before the actual before the budget build begins.
Okay.
So you'll see it straighten out, and then we'll go almost straight into the new budget build.
Thank you for that.
So February-ish,
Yeah.
January, February.
So we'll look forward to seeing the same thing.
Yeah.
On a couple more reports.
Yeah, you
before
might
it's
see some
resolved.
difference where money's being spent. I mean, it might actually, well, I'm going to pull money for, yeah, it's going to look funky because we spent money for different programs that those invoices haven't hit yet. So for example, community programming, we're going to see a negative there. We're also going to see a negative in, trying to think, digital collection, because we have a minimal budget there, but the money from the Friends isn't showing up in our budget. But we've spent money
Because
in
you
that
know
line
that the
item.
money's there.
Yeah,
It's just a matter
exactly.
of
Yeah,
getting the numbers to line
that's
up. Okay.
exactly right. And they only do it twice a year, so, but it will right itself eventually.
So the bills still get paid
Mhm.
because,
Right, the money's there, they just don't, it doesn't reflect.
Doesn't
in the
reflect as if
budget.
you have authority to spend it, even though it's there because it hasn't been updated on the
Right.
budget side.
Yeah,
Okay.
not
Okay.
reconciled, yeah.
right.
Very good. Okay. Any other questions on the financials? Or, okay, well, I'd like to move on down your list.
Okay, so first I would like to congratulate Trustee Balderson Knight for being awarded the Nevada Library Association's Trustee of the Year. So she received an award on Monday night, which during the president's reception at the Nevada Library Association's annual conference, which was here in Carson City. I was the conference chair. I cannot express enough how relieved I am that it's over. It was lovely.
It's a lot to put on a conference.
It is. It is. And I cannot take much credit for it. The president, Tammy Westergaard, very much led the charge. My most important role was to support her, and then on the actual days of the event to do what she told me to do. So I was a great foot soldier, I think. So congratulations,
Thank you.
Trustee Knight. You deserve it.
Thank you.
And then there was something else I was going to say about that. Anyways, it was a great conference. Thank you, Trustee Lucas, for coming to our welcome reception, and Trustee Merkel. Sorry, I thanked Trustee Merkel in person, but it's worth putting on record. But also thank you, Trustee Merkel, for coming and helping us do the check-ins, because it was like, nothing ever goes off seamlessly. So like our name cards showed up, they were coming from Elko, and the person who was supposed to bring them from Elko had had something happened, and that person wasn't able to make it. So I had to pass those on to her staff members at the last minute. Anyways, shenanigans, but we got through them. And it was actually really fun. At the end of it, the California State Librarian, Greg Lucas, asked me if I would give him a tour. And so I gave him a whole tour of the library. And then afterward, the feedback that I got from other librarians that were there was that he was really impressed with our library. So that's always nice to have people take notice of the hard work that you're putting in. So yeah. And not to mention, it looks really cute and colorful right now for the holidays. So on to business. We have a new circulation supervisor. Sarah Martell was promoted from senior library assistant to circulation supervisor. And she comes to us from the state. She was the state records manager, came over to us, has just really fallen in love, I think, with what she's doing, and it's her happiness is palpable. So whenever I'm having a day that's kind of like, oh, I'm tired, I just go talk to Sarah, because she's just delighted with every day that she's there, and just reminds me that we should all feel that way every day, because it's great to work in a library. So she's already full tilt doing what needs to be done. First and foremost, developing a desk manual for us, so we can have somewhere where all our stuff is consolidated, because we don't have one. And I think it'll be really helpful. And so that's her first order of business. She's continuing to purge our shared drive, and then just really helping get everything organized. She's responsible for the volunteers, of which we have quite a few right now, and then also for our part-time staff. That said, she's going to be helping me go through, and I've chosen the library clerk candidates. Now we just have to go through that second round of interviews. And frankly, it hasn't been the top priority, because we have 2 new staff members on the desk, and they're doing great. And they've already 3 weeks in, they're flying solo on the desk when we need them to, so they're doing wonderful. So super lucky there. I cannot speak highly enough of both of them. They're just doing great work, Shanae Pointer and Amanda Conkin. So now that Sarah has been promoted, we find ourselves in that situation where we have found ourselves often this year, and that is that we have to fill the position of the person we promoted. So we're going to be going into another hiring process for the senior library assistant. Just as a side note, the Human Resources Director, Melanie Burketta, is retiring. Her last day is Monday. And so the Deputy City Manager, Stephanie Hicks, will be filling in for her until such time as they've hired a new director. So that's important to this process, because I have to, it won't be slowed down, but it's just a different person who I will have to send information to get onto the internal finance committee, get the filling of the job approved, et cetera. And then that leaves us with a deputy position to be filled. And I think we're there. Well, I know we're there. We just have to be ready we have to be ready to conduct a national search. And, you never know who's out there locally that might be looking. So,
Do you have ideas on your interview panel for that?
I'm sorry?
Do you have ideas on who will be on your interview
Sir,
panel
yeah,
for your deputy?
Well, I have one. Tammy Westergaard's going to sit in with me because she was the deputy at the Carson City Library. And also because we've worked together. And so it's good, I think, to have someone help me make the decision. And then, of course, I had planned to ask any of you if you wanted to participate as well. I think it's good to have an odd number, right? So you need a tiebreaker. So is anyone interested in participating in that with me? Yeah, I would be. Okay. Well,
Trustee
and
Markle. I
and
don't know
Trustee
if you're
Markle knows me
participating,
too,
but
so
sounds
she'll
fine.
have that in mind of, it's just really important to find a good fit and someone who can really, you can have a symbiosis with. So we'll see if that, we'll get there. And it was actually really fortunate for me to be able to sit on the evaluation and interview committee for Washoe County's deputy, because it also helped me sort of focus in on what we need and see what the challenge is, because I think what we need is pretty similar to what Washoe needed, and to see what the candidate pool is out there. So I have a much more realistic view of what we're facing, not to make it sound daunting, but it is what it is. Any questions about that?
Well, that probably won't happen until like, what, spring? I mean, you have
I'm
to
in
post
control of
it
it.
and post
Yeah.
it and get candidates. And,
I'm hoping to post it before the end of the calendar year.
Mm.
And then it usually will stay posted. I'll probably have it posted for at least 30 days because I'll post it with ALA. And then we'll go from there. So yeah, early spring. But we're getting there. My life is made so much easier when we're fully staffed with hourly staff and with our so that the desk is properly covered and the staff are also, in my opinion, it's most important for the frontline staff for us to have enough staff there, because the people who are most impacted by a lack of staffing are the staff that have to cover the desk and the patrons. I'm not on the information desks that often, and so I can continue to do both jobs, whereas, and it only impacts me really, whereas not having enough library assistants or people to serve on the desk impacts the entire organization. So if that makes sense. So we're getting there though, and we have had a little bit of, I was calling it the plague, rush through the library. Last week we had, I think Sunday I went in because we had 2 out of 3 staff members sick. Monday we had 5 people sick. Tuesday we had 4 people sick. Wednesday we had 4 people sick. Thursday we had 3 people
Oh,
sick.
my gosh.
And Friday we had 3 people sick. So last week was like, I think all of us by the end of the week were just like, can this week be over? October, see ya, sayonara. So, and that's how it goes, when the weather changes and you're in close proximity with one another and you're in a public facility. So hopefully everyone's built up some antibodies straight out the gate for the winter season. Our programming and outreach events, we are having, some little fun like national days where we're going to do crafts that are or aligned with those days. So there's National Button Day and we're going to do a button craft. Who doesn't love a good button craft? And then we're going to do a little winter in a jar craft on National Mason Jar Day. Again, mason jar crafts are fun. And then we're going to have special themed story times for the month, depending on. So we had a Day of the Dead. We did a National Recycling Day. World Hello Day is next week. And then, of course, for Thanksgiving, we'll have story time. And I think we might go very old school with the craft. My suggestion was to do the turkey out of your hand. Right. I mean, it's a rite of passage that we all do that in our youth, and then our parents are then forced to keep it into perpetuity.
In paint or plaster of Paris?
Paint. Or I don't know, we did several variations of that when I was a kid. It was construction paper with some little leaves on it, There's just no limit to what you can do with turkey and with making turkey hands. And then Bonanza, Trustee Nichols was there. Thank you so much. It was So much fun. Oh man, our we were a hit. People were stopping and taking pictures with us, and I was really hoping we were going to get some like best in show for our booth. We didn't. We got bupkis, but we had a really good time, and 2,600 people stopped by our tent. So yeah, it was very. It was just so fun, and we're just cooking along. There's been people who've reached out to us from that, and yeah, it was crazy though. I mean, it's just so many kids, but it was super fun. And so that's what's up. We're just gonna keep on. Oh, I did reach out to Dr. Steinman about coming into our December meeting, and I haven't heard back from him yet. So he may or may not be on the agenda for next month. So
So we'll be
Stay tuned.
reviewing strategic plan.
update, yeah,
Update.
from the staff development day where we did a strategic plan update. Oh, and I did want to add too, really quickly, that the keynote speaker at the Nevada Library Association conference, and I tried to make it possible for almost all of our staff to go and still have people here to cover, was a de-escalation expert. And so it was really great. It was an interactive keynote. And then we talked about it yesterday in our team meeting, and our team was really felt like it was very helpful, but that it also sort of aligned with the book that we've been reading. So that was nice to hear that we're on the right track there, I think. So,
Oh, that's really great feedback from the staff.
yeah. So that's all.
Any questions for Director Holt? Trustees? All right, well, thank you for your report and move on down the agenda here to item 5. This is board members' announcements and requests for information. I always say, request for information for next meeting's agenda. What do you want to see if you have an item you'd like to add to that agenda while you're here and it's fresh in your mind? Or any other announcements you might have?
We did talk a few months ago before the murals thing about the possibility of a banner. I mean, and then it was kind of tabled because there was going to be murals. A banner on the side on the east side as you walk in the door. And I think Director Holt was going to explore the possibilities and the cost, perhaps.
What was the banner going to say or do?
I
or
don't
look
know that
like?
we decided what it was going to say.
Oh.
It's just kind of an extra way to get attention.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we need to dig through some minutes and refresh ourselves on the conversation.
Yeah, it was pretty vague,
So,
and then
okay.
I
Yeah.
didn't follow up with it because of the mural coming down the
Right,
pike.
Well,
But I can definitely revisit it
Yeah.
and just like at least look at
What was the
sizes
banner
and costs,
composition?
and yeah.
Yes.
And then we can kind of decide if we want an image, if we want our logo, that kind of thing.
I know, remember a few years ago when the library got some national honorary award or award.
Yeah, it was the national medal
Yeah.
in 2018.
There was a big banner there,
Mm.
and it stayed there for a while, and it would be, there's space there.
The thing is I don't know that it can exactly go there because, as it turns out, when that banner was hung, it was not, what's the word I'm looking for, necessarily kind to the structure. And so facilities let me know that there were other options for hanging something from the building, but we would have to, I would rather work within their parameters.
Oh, sure.
So I'll have to kind of sit down with them and say, hey, if we were to get a banner like that other one, how could we best hang it and not compromise the structural integrity of the building any further?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't as bad as it sounds, but you never know when you're dealing with a 40-year-old building what could happen when you're drilling holes.
This could all be great discussion conversation for next agenda item or
Okay.
next meeting, next agenda. I don't want to spend too much time on it here just because that specifically isn't agendized.
Okay.
Anyway.
So do you want me to put it on the agenda even if Dr. Steinman is able to come? Or do we want to, if Dr. Steinman's able to come, have the, put a
Table
pin
it.
in that for the following meeting?
That will make a long meeting. Yeah, let's split them up. So
Okay.
if we have Dr. Steinman, then we won't have that conversation.
Okay.
But if Dr. Steinman's not available, then we'll move on about the banner.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Any other announcements or items for next agenda?
Yeah, I just wanted to put, sorry, this is Trustee Nichols for the record. I wanted to put on for the record, as the director said, I helped out in Bonanza, and I just really want to give a big shout out, a big kudos to the staff who were out there. They had to deal with different kinds of people. And it was really heartwarming to see how kind and compassionate the staff is to different kinds of people, to people that, to the average person, they might have a hard time dealing with, anybody from a mental disabled to somebody who has an addiction of some kind and needs special attention. I think they did a really great job. And it wasn't just fun being with the kids. It was actually really uplifting to be with those 4 people who put it all out there for the general public. And not everybody can do that. And it gives me a better understanding of when Joy says they do interviews and that she's not sure if she can find somebody who meshes with everybody and or who can work within the library. It does take a special kind of person to be able to deal with everybody in the general public in the same manner, with the same compassionate manner. And you've got a great staff, and I think that's awesome.
True. Thank you so much. I will pass that on to them. But yeah, ditto times 10. They are amazing and work very well together. And we're very lucky.
Well, thank you. Any other announcements? Items, requests for information from the board? I don't see anybody piping up. Okay, so if I could just quickly extend my thanks to the Nevada Library Association for their recognition. It's appreciated.
I will pass it on.
Okay, let's move on to next agenda item, which is our second public comment period. Again, any members of the public who would like to address us on matters related to the library? Seeing, hearing none. We hold for 3, hold for 5. I don't know. Okay, let's move on to adjournment. We are adjourned, everybody. Thanks for coming. Have a great Thanksgiving. I'll see you.